Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. And the more I think about how this retirement actually evolved for me, the more I feel grateful and I feel actually blessed. Because I'm looking here, I actually have a comment, and I want to express this because it's very important that we talk about how your job is not worth the loss. There's a lot of loss that comes with a job. Sure, you gain income, you gain salary, and we all have to work. We all have to generate money to pay for, our clothes, our houses, our cars, whatever that be. But there's a sight that a lot of people lose along the way. And a lot of people lose perspective. I was one of them. You get in the middle of your career, you're hustling, you're bustling, you feel like you're on the top of the world, you're traveling. And a lot of people, I know for me, my work meant I had to travel for quite a while. I mean, I've seen some great cities. I flew to Houston. I've been to Colorado. I've been to Denver, the Mile High town. I've been to Minnesota. The big mall. Been there too. I've been just about everywhere for work, and a lot of people do. And I see people at the top of the organization I came from were traveling even more. They lived in a suitcase. And when you do that, you sort of give up on certain things. You give up on family. You give up on life. And basically what I realized is life becomes on hold. Everything is on hold when you work a lot of times. Now, some people enjoy those jobs that it's a 9 to 5 and it's home time and then they get to see their family in the evening. And that's super, that's better. But the point is you're still giving up time, and often there's things you are sacrificing. And I want to touch on a subject. As a matter of fact, I have a comment that a very, very wonderful viewer shared with me, and I feel very connected, and this resonates with me, and that's why I want to share this comment. And it's long, so bear with me, but just let this sink in a few moments, because too many people get caught up in their job defining who they are, and it's not. That's the thing. It's hard to break away. I understand retirement may be a transition to another career. I get it. It's not easy. But it becomes one of those scenarios where your career can take you over, and it can become who you are. And I think that's one of the worst things that we can do, is lose sight of that, because the world moves around us, and missing, your kid's birthday party or some gathering or get together because you're stuck at work or you have to do this work report, it just feels wrong. So anyway, Richard, I'm just going to leave it at that. Richard, thanks so much, Richard. I really appreciate this heartfelt comment. It is absolutely amazing. So everybody bear with me. In quotes, I'm going to read Richard's comment here. Okay, that phrase, "take time to smell the roses," is so true. How many years went by that pushed the button onto the garage door, got in the car, drove to a job you had or to do, and then repeated the sequence? There was a time that my car broke down and my wife said, "Can I pick you up?" I told her I would walk home. Boy, the sights I saw when I was in the present, and didn't let all the garbage cloud my view. I retired 2 years ago after a sequence of events led to my decision. I taught school for 32 plus years for mostly at-risk students. I was one of those guys who taught every grade and finished teaching high school and adult students. As most know, teachers make little money, at least in my area, and I would say that's largely true in most places. And contrary to what people think, teachers have no vacation pay. They get paid for the days they work. After thinking I was going to be a hotshot ad man, that ended or never really began. One day my colleague said, "You would make a great teacher." I had no clue how to do it, but after I found out, I never looked back. Fast forward, I worked coaching, tutoring, Saturdays, Friday, and Saturday nights, got kids jobs, monitored community service hours, made sure my students' families had what they needed, both mentally and physically. And all my students, I had unalivings, self-unalivings, pregnancies, passing away, mental illness, psychosis, hunger, court system, you name it. That helped them navigate. I never realized how many jobs I was doing until someone said, you you are doing like 10 jobs that most people do as their only job. I just did what was right by my students and my community. Here's the rub. And so, by the way, if I can interject here, I want to respond to this. And first of all, Richard obviously had a strong passion for his work, and he was doing some really, really important work. And my response to his comment really was, teachers, people, that are teaching, looking after their training, our young ones, the up and comers, they have some of the most important work on the planet, period, bar none. So there are exceptions to every case scenario where, we talk about important work. Absolutely. Teaching is important. Nursing, doctors, healthcare, policing, firefighting. These are all extremely important jobs, and somebody has to do them, and hats off to everybody who's doing that type of work. So let's take this from the top again. Here's the rub. You spend hours, days, months, holidays being there for others and never for yourself. I mean, I never missed my boys' games, concerts, or school events, but my brain was always thinking of a better and more efficient way to help others. But in the end, one must always remember they are not working for the man, as one would say, but with their own integrity. As one day they, the man, of course, and I experienced the same, and you all know about my storyline, will walk in and say, "We don't need you anymore." I experienced that exact thing. It's absolutely uncanny. One could argue, but after all these years, and people say that all the time, but after all these years, unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Richard's saying, after all these years, so what? Not how I saw my teaching career ending, just showed me somewhere else till COVID hit. Lots of BS, not about people, so I retired. But I did find out all the extra hours I worked for my adult ed job went into supplemental retirement account. What a blessing. And so sometimes things do work out. So when it was time for me, writing on the wall says, I retired, I feed my birds, the squirrels, and take care of our community cats. I piddle around in my garden and I make stuff. I think a lot of people just find their way. I go to the store when I want to, and I don't have to knot in my stomach and worry about someone telling me I did something wrong. Right? I know we all live with that sometimes, right? I realize what I enjoy, what I need, and what I can give away to another family. All through my teaching career, I was an art teacher. I spent thousands of dollars on supplies, but it was okay because I wanted to make sure those kids who had nothing knew that there was something special to me. And like you said, after all these years, perhaps one person has contacted me to see how I am doing. And as I've said too in my comments, people don't care. Where's your friends? Where are all these people at your work that you thought were your friends? They're gone. Nobody calls. Nobody cares. That's just the reality. And don't be sad about it, but just know that that's just how life goes. So you just got to find your own way, keep your good people close to you, and navigate life that way. But that's just me interjecting there. Okay, so yes, people are acquaintances. The people who reach out to me are my students. Many are in their 30s and 40s now, telling me how I made a huge difference in their lives. Very cool. I rest easy. I have no desire to go back into the classroom. Been there, done that. The BS train can stay or leave the station. Doesn't care. I don't care. I'm the same thing. When I talked to my ex-coworker I talked about the other day, we had a good chat, and it was the same premise. Don't really care what happens with that company now, and quite frankly, it is what it is. So, and yes, I drink my coffee, listen to the cacophony of great natural sound. Listen, do you hear that? Little birds. I hear loons. I hear ducks. Birds chirping. It is absolutely wonderful. What a wonderful, wonderful sound. On top of the noise in the background of the cars, of course. And Richard's basically saying the same thing. I rest easy, I have no desire to go back into the classroom. But instead, I drink my coffee, listen to these great sounds of great natural sounds, absorb the colors of a beautiful sky, and here we are again, the sunrise. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful time of the day. Absorb the colors of that sky and march to the beat of my own drummer. My closest friends are now from high school. I have time to take care of my parents and smell the roses. These days I need very little. Thanks for allowing me to share. Thanks so much, Richard. I really appreciate that. And I think this paints a really, really stark picture for all of us. That, you know, I do get comments of people loving their work. They're 67 and they're still loving it. And they're doing all these great things. That's because you're in a good place here. I was in a good place there until I wasn't. Up until about 5 or 6 years, close to the end of the my run. And Richard went through some very similar attributes or very similar experiences. He loved his work. He was very fulfilled. He enjoyed every moment of it, as I did. I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed my career, and I enjoyed a lot of the people I worked with. So one could argue then what was so bad about it? Because in a passive-aggressive way, things were changing, not always for the better. I also realized that, you know, as parents got ill, it was also more of a reminder that, hang on, slow life down. Hear that special song reminds you of them. Look around, you know, that smell that you remember as a kid when you went to the farm with the parents in the summer in Saskatchewan. You smell that fresh cut straw and hay. You smell the diesel on the John Deere tractor. You know, the wildlife, going to chase the cattle around the barn, that smell of cows, the smell of a chicken coop, the sounds of birds, and those things that trigger you when you have those moments where you think back, you know, as a kid and the better times that you had with your family. And then you realize work doesn't matter. And the man, as Richard say, at any point could walk in and say, you're out of here. So I understand if people need to, and a lot of people work because they have to financially. But along the way, if you give too much to your work, which I found myself doing, and as soon as I hit the airplane to fly to, you know, some foreign city, as soon as I did that, or I hit the truck for do a road trip and I left home, I knew I was sacrificing something. It was time. I sacrificed time with the family. I sacrificed time doing my own personal things, because you go away for a week. Now each night that you're sitting in a hotel room is just eating time. You're just wasting time until you can get back home. So those moments you can't get back. And doing this for the man is not worth it, not in my opinion. And again, if you need the money and you have a plan, 100%, formulate that plan. Figure out your exit strategy. Talk to your financial people. Make sure you have money in the bank. What are the healthcare provisions like? Every country's a little different. You've got to think about that. It's important. But take that time to smell the roses. Sure, we all love our work. But would you rather be doing something else? Maybe spending time with people that you care about, rather than that pencil, paper, laptop, or that boss that's fake? We all have our takes on that. I'd love to hear your comments down below, everybody. Thanks again so much. Welcome back to another beautiful sunrise. As you can see, the sun's starting to pop up over the horizon. We're a little bit earlier today than we were yesterday. Yesterday the sun was actually just shining through. But look at this beautiful view. You get the birds, trees, the water is so calm. It's an absolutely gorgeous morning out here, and you can't go wrong. And again, as always, everybody, thanks so much. We'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.